Hello, hello. Just thought I'd take a little break today. Thought I'd just fire up the live stream and chat some baseball if anybody's out there. Give it a minute, see if anybody shows up, or just kind of provide an update on I'm going to say project updates, but not really sure there's many updates. I've been working on the Negro League file again, expanding that, made a little bit more progress since the last broadcast a couple days ago. Show off some new players and interesting things I found there, but that still continues. See what other questions folks may have. Sitting here working on some current players. I've got one that I'm working on right now for the file, Pearl Webster, a catcher. Crunching some of the data for him, along with getting some pictures hunted down. And while I give it a minute, I've added some extra placeholder teams here because I've already built a lot in the 20s. So I've already started to fill up, getting close to 40-man rosters for the first half of the 20s and the second half of the 20s. It's already got 42 players on one, 38 on the other. So I've got a couple other files here. I've already started creating some players. Some of them I've run into difficulty trying to track down a picture. We can see one here. This is a great player, Blaney Hall. Got a picture of him when he's probably celebrating his 70th birthday. Difficult. I've not been able to track down during his playing days a picture of Blaney Hall. But he played a lot with the Black Sox. Pretty good batting line, too. He's a 326 hitter. He's a 6, so he's pretty average in left, center, and right. Got a 6 arm, but it's one of the newer players I had never known about. And that is the fun thing about this project is I start creating players. I've done a lot of the ones everybody knows, the Josh Gibsons and Turkey Stearns and Satchel Paige and Rube Foster and those. It's the other ones that have become really interesting as you start drilling down now that I'm over 200 players done. In fact, I think I'm at about 222 right now. And just plugging along day by day. So see, we've got somebody's wandered in to the live stream here, which is always nice. People aren't busy in the middle of the day. For me, it's the middle of the day. Well, it's about 3 o'clock my time, 3:15. So just hanging out, chatting up some baseball and talking about some of the progress. Another interesting player right here, Jose LeBlanc, right? Cuban player. He ended up dying after he was struck in the head with a bat after a close play. Led to an argument that took place for quite a bit around home plate with an umpire and some other players. And it was another player that smashed him over the head with that bat. And he ended up dying afterwards in the hospital from that injury. So finding all kinds of really cool tidbits as I start researching these players. Oh my gosh, it's the man himself, MV. One of the big reasons behind this entire project that consumes my every free hour of my life. MV, I was just talking about some interesting things that I've come across here, and this is one, Jose LeBlanc, a pitcher. Let's see, did he play any other positions? I think so. Yeah, he's a pitcher, and he can also play first, left, or right. But short career because he got in an altercation at home plate during a winter game, and a guy hit him over the head with a bat, and he ended up dying from that. So interesting things you'll learn as you start going through the research. So having fun with that. But MV, this is what I'm up to now. No, I haven't hit 300 yet. He's always pushing that um, goal out there for me a little bit farther, which is always good. It gives me something to shoot for. Shoot the database. I think I'm at 221 or 2. Pretty close. Let me take a peek here. So I've got 222 players done. So, man, this might be more than I thought I could get done at this point, right? So I think I might have been working on it right about a month. Which decade are you short on? Well, I can tell you. Let's take a peek. I had to, the 20s are rich with a lot of stats and a lot of players. So I had to create a second version of 20 to 24 and 25 to 29 because I've already got, as soon as I hit 40 or so, I'll move them over. I've got 36 on one. I have 42 players on another. So I've already started other iterations here. So here's some more. So right now, that's probably 48 players from 20 to 24. And 42 and a 56. So that's probably 100 players coming from the 1920s. So almost half of my files coming from there. So big clues here. What's a big clue says? It's more than Beatles thought you could get done at this point. Yep. And I appreciate the inspiration I draw from you guys believing in me. And I'm feeling, again, I think a couple of days ago I said I've kind of got a rhythm down as I'm going through my process, and I can create players a little bit quicker. Of course, if there's multiple positions, it's going to take a little bit more time. Um, and if there's a few players I've reached that the MLE folks have not done the hard work and publish those MLEs. So I have to use and go and use their methodology and figure those out on my own. And so that does slow me down a little bit. And that's going to probably get a little bit more work into each player. So it's funny, I get better at the process of creating them, but it's going to slow down as I get to some of the players and build ones that they don't already have MLEs for. And I'm just really looking at. Um, he he says you are going to take him out to dinner or something for this, right? Nice. Yeah, I now it's like, could I? At first I thought, hey, let me crank a couple hundred out and people can go have fun and play with this. And I'm like, well, why would I want to do something incomplete? Where's the cutoff? 300, 400? Why should there be a cutoff? So my goal is, can I card anybody here that's substantial? Meaning, yeah, they've got to have 3 years of some substance because I'm not taking a 1 year or a 2 year player, right? And right now I'm kind of starting with the people that are above average WAR, but that's not necessarily true because sometimes I'm filtering who I'm going to build and I'll filter it down to catchers or something, and then I'll just start looking at most at bats or something like that, so that my goal is to have people of certain amount of level of substance, I should call it, like some seasons under the belt and games. Name check some players. What do you want, MV? Go for it. MV is going to throw a name out, and I think what he means is, and then I'm going to fire up this file and see if I've already got them in and built already. I think that's what MV likes. But I've got 222 done. So I think since the last time I've done another 21. And some of those didn't have MLE, so they took a while to crunch numbers. All right, MV, throw a name out there. Throw some names in chat, and I'll tell you what I got here. And I've got all the pictures done too. Get my scribe going. Let me look at Farrell. I don't know why Luther Farrell's picture wasn't sticking. Oh, that's why. Because I've got some numbers after him. I'll have to go clean that up. But anyway, use that one. Some of these I don't have the best pictures. And again, I'm taking all the time I can when I'm creating them to make sure I can get the best picture, try to enhance the quality, get a card made for them, or a couple if there's more than one picture, and then getting in biographical notes for him, but definitely had some interesting bios. Okay, let's do it this way. Use the old organized player search feature. Let's look up all the Browns I have built to this date. I'm positive I've got 6 Browns I've built, and there is Willard. And there he is. Let's see. Known to play harder in front of larger crowds. How about that for a tidbit? Led league in hitting 8 times and RBI 7. That's pretty nice stat right there. But what's going on here? Let me see. Willard Brown. His nickname is Home Run. So let's go take a look at that. Something didn't capture right. Because I made up a backup copy. Yeah, there it is. It's weird. When I do the player search, it was showing the wrong thing, but that's his right nickname right here. Home Run. Okay, Bruce Petway. I think Petway's a 20s player. He's a catcher. There he is. 6 rated catcher. I think Petway's the one that had a really no, it's Santop that has this really strong arm, but Petway says he's got a strong arm. Tubby Barnes. Oh boy, do I have Tubby Barnes? No Tubby Barnes yet. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add this. I'm going to have the MV prioritized list. So let me go over here because a guy that I've just been working on his stats and I haven't put him into the game yet. The next one that will be built in is now what's his name here? It is Pearl Webster. So right underneath Pearl Webster, I'm going to add Tubby Barnes, and he will be on my next to-do list. I remember a Bill, I believe. Nope, don't have Bill Monroe. I'll add him right behind Tubby Barnes. Charlie Grant. Let me tell you what, a little story about Charlie Grant here. I think he's on my early team right here. Let's look at Charlie Grant. He's a 10, second baseman. What's up, Sports Time Machine? Yeah, it is. I'm in Utah as well, and it's a little windy out. It's been windy all day. Kind of irritating. Um, Fluid and slick feeling second baseman, was a phenomenal fielder and very fast. Yeah, this guy I knew nothing about, but great defensive second baseman. Chino Smith. Let's see if I've built him. I'll go search the easy way here. Well, I guess I could just pull up the whole database. It's easier, and I can just cycle through the players. I should make this easy for myself. So there's a refresh. Let's take a look at all players. I got 222, and we got an alphabetical order. So let's take a look at the Smith. Whoop. And we have I don't have Chino Smith. Let me take a look here. Okay, what's his real name, MV? Let's take a look at my Smiths. That's Charlie Smith. Chino was his nickname. But yeah, he's there. Great player. And let's take a look at his line. And I'm noticing when I click him this way, it's showing me, well, I'll go double check that he has one. Could hit with power and efficiency, good eye, and could hit to all fields. And you can see he's a 349 hitter with 20 home runs. So OPS over 1,000. So that's a good player. So Smith's going to be on the 25s. We'll see him over here. Yeah. It's funny, it doesn't populate when you pull them up from the data from the overall database view. It's not populating the nickname field correctly, but on their card it is properly nicknamed Chino right there. Fats Jenkins. MV is on a roll, man. Let me see if I can figure out what year old Fats is from. Let's go 20 to 24. Maybe he's a 30s guy. Got him on the 30s team. Maybe he's on the 40s team. Oh my gosh, how am I going to find Fats Jenkins? So I'm adding all these names I don't have. I've got Bill Monroe. I'm going to do, you're helping me prioritize. So I've got Tubby Barnes, Bill Monroe I haven't done yet, and now I've just put Bill Boyd on that list, MB. So every time you throw a name out there that I don't have them built, those are going right on my to-do list in order. Mm-hmm. Gene Benson's going next because I don't have him. I know I don't have him. It's cool. Now I've got like an in order to-do list. Jimmy Crutchfield. I do not have Crutchfield. I'm pretty sure. Here's Fats Jenkins, by the way. Let's take a peek at him. He is 331 hitter. Can play often a leadoff hitter. Can play all three outfield positions. So he's carded. I don't have Danny McClellan, but I'm writing him down. Writing them down, gentlemen. Let me take a peek at some of these and see if I've got Danny McClellan. Yep, he will be carded. Oh, yeah, pitcher. I get him. He's on my list now. Harry Buckner. Yes, I got him. Let's take a look at Buckner. Harry Buckner, known as Goathead, pitcher and outfielder. Pretty decent pitching line. 282 hitter. It's a good two-way player. He's basically ready to pitch him or play him in right field. Stovey. Do I have George Stovey? Let me see. I do not. I'm adding him to the list. Ted Trent, he's built. 1931's his base year. And there you go. Disregard that. It's not characterizing the right nickname, but tall pitcher with a good fastball known for his multiple curves and slider. Whip's a little high. So its ERA plus is 131, not bad, but I can tell you that Whip's, a lot of the better pitchers are right around that 1.1 area. Bill Gatewood. This is fun. People tuning in. I'm having a blast with this. Yes, I just did Slim Jones this morning, Envy. I do not have Bill Gatewood. Putting Gatewood down. Let's take a look at Jones. Slim Jones. He's got pretty good numbers. He had a good fastball. Um, he led the league in ERA, wins, and Ks. So basically, the pitching triple crown in 1934 had a dominant curve and fastball. 1.17 WHIP. He's a 1.27 ERA, so he's above average. Um, bats like you'd expect a pitcher. Let's put it that way. And you can kind of see here too, as I've been going back and trying to put estimated speed and any specialty pitches, and you'll see here, um, he's a hard thrower. So I've got him rated at 91 on his fastball for back then. And we're talking about another guy here that I've done in the last week. This is a guy I didn't know anything about before, Frank Wickware. Hard throwing pitcher with an outstanding curve that looked to hitters like a beanball. I guess he had what they described a curveball that would break so much it looked like he's about to take your head off and then pop in for a strike. So you can see here pretty decent whip, just a little bit above average pitching. Specialties, the curve, throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball if he needs to. Brown, we're looking at Ray Brown, a really good pitcher here. Threw a slider and a knuckleball, but his best pitch was the curve. So you'll notice over here, that's his specialty. Wasn't a hard thrower. Threw a lot of junk. 143 ERA. So his ERA plus is pretty good, really good. See batting, 280 hitter. Looks like he can he play other areas? Yeah. Interestingly enough, you can play him in outfield. Not a bad hitter. So he's rated for 3 positions in the outfield. Steel arm. Let's look for first names. Don't have Taylor. I have Steel Arm Davis. I don't have Taylor yet. Let's see. Manning. No Max Manning. I'm going to write that down. 1, 2. Cool. I'm getting a to-do list built here. Louis Tiant Sr. I have not built him yet. Yeah, let me put him on the list too. Nice. Max Manning, Wickware. See if I got all these things. Ruben Curry. I haven't done Curry. I'm going to look at him and get him on the list too. That's another one. I can prioritize these that you're asking about. So if we're talking about Rube Curry, yep, I've got all the data I need for him right there, known as King Curry. Larry. Hey, yeah, not that Larry Brown that was a great NBA or ABA coach and then later coached the Pistons to a championship. But it would be Larry Brown, a catcher, who was apparently known for blocking wild pitches and throwing out runners. So he had a strong arm, 281 hitter. He's an 8 rated catcher range and an 8 arm. So Larry Brown looks like he would be a nice catcher to anchor a team if we're sitting here using our brains thinking about who we might draft. You guys are good because Big Clues are not good ones. Let me tell you some of these players here. Bernardo Barro. Take a peek at him. Little 5'6", 160, top outfielder in the 10s and 20s, and member of the Cuban Baseball Hall of Fame. So there's above average. He's a 319 hitter. He's got an 8 in the. He can play all three outfield positions. He's got a strong arm. Jelly Gardner, yes. Take a look at Gardner. Let's see if I agree with Jelly Gardner. Yeah, I've got him at a 7. So I don't know if that's great, but it's pretty close to it. Tough and scrappy outfielder with good range, blazing speed, and a great base runner. Clint Thomas. Take a peek. I do know I've got Clint. I think he's got a pretty good. So Clint has, yeah, 307 hitter. Played outfield and second base. Called the Hawk for his sharp-eyed hitting and fielding skills. And yeah, he's got good range. He's good outfielder, well above average for all positions, and you can put him at second. So there's a great player to have on your team. Versatile. That's the one thing I've noticed. Um, the sports time machines like Larry Brown. Yeah, the one that went back and forth between tight end and tackle for the Steelers. Yep, I know him. Um, yeah, it's just been fun because as I go through, I start thinking, man, if I was building a team, this would be a good guy to have. Somebody like this that kind of maybe flies under the radar, that's a decent bat, it's a good fielder, and you can play him in versatile positions. So, and if I'm thinking about, if we're drafting in a league and doing this, I'm like, ooh, great lineup options, having the versatility. Clarkson, I have Bus Clarkson. Also, in everything's showing the black Lou Gehrig up here because it won't display right, but he is Buzz. Pitcher, 157 OPS. On a hitter. And let's see, what can he field here? He's third baseman and shortstop. Less games at third, but he has much better range numbers at third than he actually does at short. Lefty Bryant. Nope, don't have him. Let me search him and see if I put him on my list. Okay. Jules Thomas. Oh yeah, let me go look at him. I know I don't have a Jules Thomas. Let me see if I can add him to the list. He's going on the list. So now I've just added, because of your help, you two, 12 players on the next to-do list. Those will be the ones I work at. As soon as after I end this call here tonight, if I have time, I will put, Goose Tatum has enough substance years to actually be rated. Yeah, I will get to him. But I've got Pearl Webster that I'm building now. I'm halfway done with his fielding games played. I just got to work out his putouts, assist errors, and range ratings and all that stuff. But I got him about 60% done. Pearl Webster. And let me just look at. I started trying to get some more of the before 1930 players done and try to fill up some of these because there's just not as many. There wasn't as much playing going on back then. But if we look at the really early team I've got here for the starting in 1900. There might be some news. Walter Ball is one that I've added recently. Known as Diamond. Spitballer, also called the Georgia Rabbit. Interesting fact, he wore tailored suits and dressed to the nines. So I said, hey, I got to call that out. And you'll see his specialty is the spit. And we have Ashby Dunbar. That's another one that I've done, didn't know anything about. Outfielder from 1906 to 20. It played for several teams. Mr. Dunbar. I can see the note, so I can edit my stuff right here. Take care of my misspellings and stuff, I think. Dave hey, Legends, what's up, man? Just going over some, nothing flashy today. Just spending some time here chatting baseball, and MV and Big Clue, who are big inspirations for this project, coming in throwing names at me. It's the name game. They throw a name at me, and then I show them whether I've already carded the player and put him into the game, or I'm adding that on my priority list to get that person built for them. So that's what we're doing, researching some players here. Dave Malarker. I do have him. That's a player I had never heard of. Let's see where he's at. And yeah, here's the note. Also a manager. He played from 16 to 34, known for speed, defense, and small ball skills. He was also known as Chino. Guaranteed in Spanish, if anybody's familiar with Spanish, Chino is basically for a Chinese person. So it, a lot of times if they felt that they had characteristics and looked like it, they got the name Chino. That's where it came from. Oh man, Legends is down to just the Marlins and Rays. Mm-mm. Then it's going to be pretty soon. He's going to have that. You're going to have games going, and that'll be fun. Yeah, Chino Smith. I think I'm using his real name. What Smith was that? You guys remember? Nickname is Chino. I'm using it's Charlie. Yeah, I I could have named him Chino Smith, but I just called him Charlie and used Chino in the nickname column. So, oh yeah, Matlack. There you go. Leroy Matlock. He follows Murder She Wrote in the lineup. Um, Lefty pitcher, excellent control, threw a curve, slider, fastball, change, and screwball. Had quite a repertoire of pitches. And I listed his specialty as the screwball. Man, screwball was really a popular pitch back then, for several people that knew how to throw it or throw it. Oh, hey, that's a good one tonight. Exhibition game. If I can't watch that live, I'll be watching that tomorrow for sure. But with those two teams playing, um, that'd be fun. Yankees and A's. Yeah, man, it's amazing how I've done 222 players, and I think there's another 200 plus to go. Joe Green, he was great. He was there. We are another Steeler reference. There's Mean Joe Green right there on the 40s team. Catcher, hit for average power, was great defensive catcher, and here's what I like: was slow on the bases. 280 batting line. Oh my gosh, I don't have any rating for him at catcher. Oh, I just caught something. This is how I correct things. Let's go to that 40s team and let me go pull up his data. And we're going to go to edit fielding, catcher. That's pitcher, catcher. Oh yeah, I got a 7 arm, 15 pass balls. Let me check, see what Green is. That's nice when I can walk through here and catch little things like that. Oh gosh. Guess I could have done a search to find him versus scrolling down my I got Joe Strong. Joe Green. He's a 7-6 arm. That 7-7 arm. That's what happened. So Joe Green gets the 7. Bam. Now we're good. We're in business now. There's Joe Green. Luke Easter. You know what's interesting? Let me pull him up within Seamheads because I did Larry Doby and some of that, but the problem with Luke Easter is I've just got 2 seasons that that I have stats for in 47 and 48, and I'm using the best 3. So technically, I don't have enough to do that. Yeah, I agree, Legends. It's the testing. It's stuff like this that entertains me versus me just saying, hey, let me just pull up the file and look for errors. This is a more entertaining way for me to maybe have a chat, show off some players and catch it that way, and then I'll play games and do stuff. But at the very end, once I have my final list before this is ready for prime time, I'm going to go by with a checklist and double check everything. Picture check, yes. Um, is it the right nickname there? Check. Do I have the right, year assigned? Do I have that? I'll do a quality control audit at the very end of this, whenever that end is. Yeah, that's what gives it the special sauce. You're not kidding about the special sauce. Man, yeah, it's been actually fun. I have a hard time going to bed at night because I'm thinking about players. So I'll sit there sometimes and I'll get on Seamheads and research who's still left for me to do and read a little bit about them for the next day, right? And then get inspired as to who I'm going to bid. Yeah, I could plug in an MLE. It'd be easy to do because it's basically the MLEs I'm using. If anybody hasn't used them, they don't technically match up to the same. Like if you let's say I'm going to use 40, 42, and 48, right? I have to look at the MLE lines from the years around that because it's not exact, right? Say I'm going to use the hard stats from 40, 44, 46. Theirs is a rolling 3, so they've regressed it. They're smoothing it out over years. So sometimes it's easier if it's a straight 3 years. It'll kind of match up fairly well. Otherwise, I have to pick out which years carefully, and in some cases, to get it to balance right, I have to grab maybe 4 lines from the MLE to use for the 3 lines I'm going to formulate for the player stats. So yeah, so I've still got a lot of good players left to go, and it's amazing is you start thinking everybody stops with I'm thinking about the show is going to come out, right, and they're going to focus on the ones we know, right. We're going to have a Jackie Robinson, we're going to have I know John Donaldson and some of those great Satchel Paige and some of those great ones will be there, but as you start getting into this project like I've got an appreciation now for um, the stars. Now we're getting to the really good players that are your 300 to 320 type hitters, and then there's kind of that 280 to 295 range, similar to when I work on the MLB grades. It's the same, right? You'll see the Ty Cobb numbers, right? A Lou Gehrig number, which is a Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson's numbers are very much like Lou Gehrig and Jimmy Fox to me, right? Um, then you'll have some other ones that'll stand out, like a Pop Lloyd, very comparable to a Honus Wagner, and some of that. And Turkey Stearns, who doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion, for having really great batter and good fielder and hit for power. So it's interesting as I start getting more of these, and you can start seeing those little, how they rank within their own, and very similar to the MLB file. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, Clue. I mean, and I'm stuck, right? I mean, there could be in the next 10 years a lot more gaps filled that go into seam heads, right? I mean, I don't know, but there's going to be more. Just how much more, we don't know, right? So, which could mean at some point, if it's substantial, we come back and edit. I'll give you an example on like RetroSheet. RetroSheet, when they first came out, didn't have the full lefty and righty splits. They might have lefty righty for half the games, and the other half it was just who the starting pitcher was, right? So you could get about 80% correct if you use the starting pitcher because they completed the game about 70% of the time. So, but since a lot of those seasons have all the known info out, now I know Dave Cook Sports went back in action and edited all those that had kind of guesstimates, I would call it, right? So, I could see this, another 5 years from now is at a time where I come in here and look and double check the numbers and see if there's more data and I can tweak the players on my file. I might even be able to add players I didn't have enough data for before. So, um, yeah, look at me. I'm already worried about maintaining this file, right? To me, it's good now, but you know, yeah, let's look at Stearns because if we look at the database, let me kind of put it on batting here. So take a look at all the batters. Yeah, let's take a look at. I could make my own report. Let's just do expanded batting. But should look at OPS is just a good barometer, like somebody that's got power, right? A lot of total bases. There's a bunch of guys over 1,000 right there, and Turkey Stearns is number 4. So, and what's really impressive is you got to think they've been neutralized, right? Which has removed park effects for them. So if we took a Turkey Stearns, he's a 335 hitter with 29 home runs. Now let's go move him into the Baker Bowl that year. He's probably going to hit 40 something, right? Um, so based on where they played in a lot of the fields, that's 29 home runs. I'm finding is a lot. Anything around 20 home runs is really a big home run season, and you can see there's several out of here that have those. Oh yeah, that Stearns or Duke Snyder, who was better? And a heartbeat, I would take Turkey Stearns. I wouldn't even doubt, not even a doubt. I don't. I Let me see how he rated in the field before I say that, right? Because Snyder was all right, but I mean he wasn't the fielder that even Mantle was hurt or Mays. But yeah, and what's funny is Turkey Stearns is known as a big left fielder to a lot of people. But I'll tell you what, the ones I'm looking at, he didn't play a lot of games there. For the years I'm using, he was really slugging with the Stars in Detroit. He's a center fielder. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look at this. He's a good outfielder and he hits with power. Got his nickname from his running style, the Turkey. He was a great all-around player with the unusual running style. Yeah, no doubt, legend. I think he got a benefit from like just kind of being in that town as the guy representing that team in the outfield. But there's been some interest. Somebody asked for Willie Bobo. Was that MV a while back or Big Clue? Willie Bobo is now carded. Yeah, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke. He had to make it in the song. So we've got Willie Bobo, first baseman, 315 hitter. Let's see what is his not a great range at first, I'm just going to say. His range numbers are not great. Hey, but somebody has to be rated lower than the higher rated ones to make sense for them to be higher. So let's see. Outfield. Who would I want? Oh yeah, Giles and High Pocket Hudspeth. I've already researched. I've already read a little bit. That I'll be getting to them. I like that. Whatever you want. You got Cobb, Speaker, Charleston, DiMaggio, Mantle, Mage. Yep. And I think the best DH ever, if you're into DHs, Ted Williams, because he doesn't have to be a liability in the field with a weak throwing arm and average at best range. typically based on the season, he's typically going to be a 4 on a 1 to 10 scale with this. He's going to be a 4 or 5 uh, in the field, and below, slightly below average throwing arm to fair, but a hell of a bat and on base percentage. And let's see if I built any more. I can maybe give you guys a peek. Does anybody want to see some of the raw numbers for the MLB file? I did a few more players. Let me pull them up. I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 I've done that I have yet to build. Here they are. Here's their main batting data. Maybe I can blow this stuff up a little bit so you guys can read a little bit better. Oh, here it is. So here's some of their, I've got their splits over on the other side, but it's a little too big, Steve. Let's get it right. There we go. This lets me know if I've got a photo for them and they're built. These are all been neutralized. All their stats are here, but these 5 have yet to be built. So I did Babe Ruth, and you can see the seasons that I'm using right here, and then what their base season is out of that, their main position, then their batting line. Ruth got neutralized down over his raw home run numbers when you start pulling him out of it, when you start adjusting his park factors all to 1 year. He's still in Yankee Stadium, but everything's been contoured to the 1923 numbers in Yankee Stadium, those factors. So he's 50. And this is what's amazing about Ruth when you look at the early years, right? Because a lot of times I think more about him when he's playing with Gehrig, right? Because that was a great 1-2 punch. And I'm a big Lou Gehrig fan since I was 10 years old and saw Pride of the Yankees. Then I became obsessed with Lou Gehrig, right? He's one of my favorite players. But the numbers from those early 20s, like when he gets over there. Now, granted, he's hitting some of these in polo grounds, right? Um, so if we look at him, look how many walks. But here's what's interesting. Now that we have this data, 33 intentional walks was what he averaged over these 3 years out of that 139. So really, he's drawn a little over 100 walks. So to me, it's nice that you're able to call out. And to me, it's important for the game engine to know that too, that, did he really draw that? A good quarter of these were intentional. But then again, if they would have pitched to him, what damage would he have done, right? Because he's batting 376. Interestingly enough, big clue, you may know this because you're extremely knowledgeable. I don't know what article I was reading or I was watching something about a month ago, and I had no idea because I've done a lot of Babe Ruth carding and him moving him back to left and right, but I never knew until about a month ago somebody mentioned in his contract he had it stipulated what field he would play to make sure the sun was not in his eyes. And that's why he would either be in left or right. Never knew that. And I can't remember what I saw that on. It might have been a YouTube thing I watched or whatever, or an article. Hell, I'm doing so much baseball research. It all mends together in my mind. But that's a pretty cool tidbit. Aaron Reed, the man of 1,000 voices, is here. Glad to have you here, Aaron. Yeah, so Babe would do that. So if we look at, so I've got these, you can see Mize. This is another thing. I believe like when I did this and I neutralized him and brought him over to everything in 39, I think he got bumped. His home runs might have got bumped down 1 or 2, and the average went up. I can't remember, but it's kind of fun to me as I crunch the numbers, seeing how maneuvering them into that park in that 1 year from the others tweaks up or down different things like the power and a little bit of the average or an extra base hit there or a strikeout number. But yeah, Mai's a big stick. And what's really great is he had really 3 great years, and I'm using those 3 in a row. And just so you know, it's a lot faster for me averaging stuff if I'm using the years consecutive from my resources. So I kind of like it when that happens. But Yeah, Mize, 332 line with 33 homers. So, there's a guy right there that probably matches up pretty well in this league against a Mule Suttles, in my opinion. And he likes it. Good, Aaron. The man of a thousand voices. That let's get that to stick. So tonight, if Beatles, I think Beatles is coming on tonight. If you're there, we've got to. This has to get traction. It's if Aaron has embraced this nickname, I would feel honored if you'd run with it because I think we need to get this to stick. Because if you haven't heard Aaron on any of Beatles stuff, it's fun. I mean, it's a nice change of pace because he can come in there and imitate different voices and keep us entertained. So nothing wrong with just listening to his normal voice, but it does make it fun. Ernie Lombardi, here's another cool player that big dude, right? I don't think I ever paid attention since I started making sure I'm going to put height and weight in the game. I don't think I ever really remembered him being that big. In my brain, I kind of pictured him maybe 5'9" and stocky, not 6'3", 230. He's a big dude. And 335 hitter. I think he does really well against lefties. Let's go take a look at his line. Oh yeah, 391 against lefties over here. So um, Ernie will be fun to build. And if we look at their fielding, crank this up again, you can kind of see their ratings and how they're going to play out in the field a little bit. Hopefully this is big enough for everybody to see. But so here's so this column here for me would be, maybe I ought to color this column. Maybe I ought to shade it. Maybe I'm going to get high tech here. Look at this. I'll probably go back and change this later. Yeah, just let me call out the actual where the rating columns are. But these are the ratings for those positions. Ed Rouge got 4 games, and I won't card anybody at a position unless they average over the 3 years at least 2 games played. If they just had 1 game played in the 3 years total, I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to card them there. But if they have enough to even rounding up, if I can get them to average like 2 for the seasons, then I'm gonna list that and rate them. You can see. Oh, I can't. I already hate looking at that. Throwing me all off. Um, but Roush is an 8, 5 arm in center field. Heine Grow, 7 third baseman, right? Playing 3 straight years, which I really love with Cincinnati. So I just got in Cincinnati there and cranked out 3 players. And then I got to thinking about Wally Berger, center fielder for the Boston Braves. And look at this line. He's another one in the Braves field that when he got neutralized and brought into 34 up here in the race field, he got adjusted. His average, I think, came up from 302 to 305, and his home runs might have gone from 32 to 33. But anyway, Aaron held the show together the other night. Was worried Beatles wouldn't come back. Oh man, nice. That's it, man. You got to have confidence, Aaron. Keep your energy level up and go for it, man. Keep bringing it. Hey, we got 11 people tuning in here on a kind of a quiet afternoon. I'm just talking some baseball and projects. So interestingly enough, I think projects, the really only active ones I've got going on right now are, of course, in Negro League file. But then I need to stop about every week or so and come over here and create some players because it really gives me a good measurement. So I can start looking here, for example, at some of these better known players and saying, hey, here's where their averages fall. Here's their OPS. Here's the kind of home runs they're going to be hitting. And I can kind of see when I get the two together how the leagues stack up. So these are the ones I've done so far here. And you can see, I think we've got, here's the one that's really scary, by the way. If you're just looking at 3, where's my man Hornsby? There, look at this. His averaged and adjusted all to 1923 Sportsman. This is his 3-year average. He's got, I mean, the OPS is crazy because he's got 42 doubles, 13 triples, 32 homers, and he's batting 400. So if you think about it, you compare that to Cobb down here, or right up above him, that's 392. He's pretty close in average, right? Cobb's going to have an advantage with speed on the base paths, but man, Hornsby has got more pop in that bat, and he walks more. So thinking, man, if I'm drafting an MLB grades, Hornsby might be my guy. Let's see what he fields. I don't think his fielding's great. Hey, he's a 5. Yeah, he's nothing great in the field, but anyway, it's fun stuff. Um, you can see my list here for the Negro League build out. I've got ready to go. Um, crank this up for everybody. You can see I put a bunch of these players that you all called out today on my to-do next. I'm working on Pearl Webster right now. I've got his batting line done. So he's here. Um, I may have to do it. You guys are a crazy enough crowd. I may have to come on here, right, and maybe show some of my recipe or my secret sauce, as Big Clue calls it, behind the scenes on some of this player creation. But let's take a look at, I can pull up the MLE file that I have right here. Let's take a look at one of these people. This is the MLE file that I'm working off of right here. You can see I've got Pearl Webster stuff right here. I just pulled out of there. And that's giving me a starting batting line right here. So I can start, I might pick, uh, since these are averaging the years before and after, if I'm using them for like 13, 15, and 16, I might grab 13, 14, 16, and 15 or whatever, just to kind of make sure I get a good coverage of the years that I've identified, because the way they do kind of the rolling numbers here. And then I'll drop that line in. So when I build a player, you can see right below here. Let me pull this thing up. I've got a bunch of baseball geeks like me here, so if anybody's bored, they can always leave. But let me, this might be interesting to see. So let me pull my other thing over here. So if I go over to what I'm building off of, you can see when I go down here, these were the 4. I'm bringing these 4 over to be closest to the 14, 16, and 17 season that I'm using. So that averages in 1915. So I will come over and I will get his MLEs, and then I will wait and I will go in and get the neutralized stuff from Baseball Reference that neutralizes it to the National League in that year without a park. And then I will look at his real numbers. And sometimes, depending on how many seasons he had, I might look at his overall average. And there may be 3 or 4 different like batting average components here that I'm looking at. And then I can grab those. For example, you'll see right here, well, it doesn't have everything. These were the 3 numbers based from all the sources I was using. And that is exactly where that 285 came from right there. So anyway, I don't know if that excites anybody, but that's the stuff that excites me. It really comes down to how much of a factor do the MLEs weigh in, because I'm using a combination of what we know they actually did, what the MLEs do in their equivalency, what I can have the ability to neutralize towards a National League year in Baseball Reference, um, and then combine those things to try to come up with a realistic line. So that's my fun. That's my life right now. So I'm enjoying the heck out of this. Pitchers, you'll see stuff down here where I was working off of building some from different sources how I was going to come out. Here's Juanelo Mirabal, right? So you can see I'm using these. I'm grabbing his MLEs and I'm figuring out what the MLE shows. And I'm looking at how many games he pitched. And it's hard back then because sometimes they went with fewer pitchers that pitched a bigger percentage. So I'm having to come up with a formula that at least resembles more of a major league type of season, right? Where um, that line is something that you could put in a 154 game schedule and combine it with major league players, and it would play nice with each other, right? So that's where a lot of thoughts going into. And I've got some formula sheets I have that are all separate that I go and crunch a bunch of stuff, and then I'll bring over my MLEs, I'll throw it, I'll get my neutralized stat head here, I'll get the real numbers down here, and then I'll start kind of building in. And then I have to look at, okay, he's in 1926, and if I'm taking any of his 1926 numbers and looking at raw stuff, I have to convert that based on era, right? So I have to take a look at bringing him over to play in the major leagues, the difference in eras, right? If 120 strikeouts per 1,000 at bats was not uncommon in the early years, where that same number might only be 105 in the MLB, right? So if I'm bringing over to the National League that same year, I've got to make those adjustments. Otherwise, the numbers are going to be out of context. If that makes sense. So anyway, I'll talk this stuff all night because, as my wife says, I can't believe there's other people that actually care about this nonsense. I think she's actually made that exact statement once or two. Or, oh my God, you're doing those numbers again. That's another comment I've heard quite a bit. But she's been pretty good. Um, and I have told her that it seems like some in the community are pretty appreciative. And I said, look, there's a lot of people. I need to work on this. I've kind of committed. It's a fun project. There's other people interested, and I want to be able to have some fun with this file and let other people use it and all that good stuff. So she's showing me a little grace, which is always nice. Um, yeah, and here I'm getting some specialty pitches and all kinds of good stuff. So this is my fun stat, um, fun stat stuff I'm working on. But I do enjoy it. I do. Trying to think if there are any other things I've got going on right here. Some cool players, right? So some of the other ones you can see, these are the ones that they've got above average WAR ratings for. So, if we scroll through here slowly, you can see some of the people I've done. Augustine Verano. Here's one I have not done. Al Smith I haven't done because this is the problem I have. Guarantee this, I am not going past 48 for this file. That's kind of where I decided. 47, we got Jackie Robinson and all that good stuff. And I'm thinking, maybe use a 48, but I'm not going to do any players up into the 50s. I may change my mind. Somebody may talk me out of that, but I just feel like 48 is a good cutoff right now for the years I'm using. Um, but as I look through here, the people that I have MLEs for, I can see some ones I still need, like Bill Cash. Like I come in here and go, I could do that, but here, right, I'm not going to use these seasons up here. I'll use Bill Cash, somewhere right here in the mid 40s. Yeah, I think. But okay, MV's agreeing with me. Give me a but. I'm going to wait a minute and hear that as I add Bill Cash over to my to-do list here. Love it. And again, I'm just scrolling through pictures. I go over here to a traditional stat line for pitchers, and you can start seeing that's the last one I was working on right here, Mary Ball. Barney Morris is another one I need to write down here. Got him. I can see you may come back to it a later. You're exactly right, MV. I think my priority is again, I started getting the better known players. Now I'm working down the WAR list, and now I'm going to see how far I can build that out. So if we look how deep I can go, let's look at CMEDs here. And again, none of this is possible without CMEDs, right? But if I go over here to wins above replacement, I'm a lot of times just going position. So let's grab catchers. And this is just their WAR, right? Everybody on this list, I can tell you I've built everybody. I don't know, Carlos Colas, I think I've got a to-do on him. I'm not sure if I've done him. Palm, Poindexter, I've done these. I'm good all the way down into about here. And then I can start looking at some of these others that, they're just slightly above the WAR, but then I'm going to start prioritizing, okay, who had the most plate appearances? Like these, I need to build these two, right? Johnny Hayes, Joe Lewis. Now, you'll see when you get down here, you'll start seeing people like Buck Ewing, right? Another Buck Ewing, but you'll all start seeing actual major league players that played in enough inter squad games or interleague games where they qualify. They're in here because their stats are in this database too. Um, I'm not doing that. I'm not going down to that level, right? But I mean, anything up here that's got, I'll look at any of these. Here's Big Bill Smith, right? A catcher. Let's take a look at his numbers. Yeah, in my opinion, I look at him. Yeah, he needs to be built. We need him. He needs to be represented. So what's happening is instead of 200 and then well maybe 400, I'm going to be like, who needs to be built? Let's just keep building until we get the ones that need to be there. I'm not going to go for crazy stuff. Meaning this, where are we at? Here's Oscar Boone. I won't build him. He's only got 2 years, right? Maybe if he had a third, I would, but those are going to be difficult decisions as I get more and more built out, right? Is where do I go? Um, got my dogs going crazy back here. So I got Bill Johnson right here. Here's a question. Do I build this guy? Let's take a look at him. Bill Johnson. Where's he at? I just forgot where the heck he went. So Bill Johnson right here. Do I build him? You tell me, MV. Yeah, I probably need to. He's got more. He's got at least the 3 years I want, and these are decent amount of playing time right here. If you look, he's got 56 games here, and if we look at that team, he played 56 of their 86, right? So he's a little more than half-time player. Should we card him? Yeah, yeah, exactly. You can hear him. I don't know. My wife's got him out here. Must be a package at the door. They're going nuts over here. Yeah, so MV agrees with me. So I would look at this and I go, yeah, I want this guy should be in the game. He played enough that he's got some substance behind his ears. Yeah, let's card him. Let's put him in there. I mean, I don't know anybody once I'm done with this that would be interested in this that would say, man, there's too many players here. I wouldn't. I'd be like, hey, the more players you can give me, the better. It's just a matter of, ooh, it's going to take some time. It's another marginal one here. Let's look at this guy here. Rich G. Probably going to be hard to find a picture. If they don't have a picture already up, it's going to be hard to find a picture, right? But look, in 24, 25, and 26, he's got a good amount of games right here. And not bad. There's 3 seasons I could average and use him. He needs to be built. So we could end up, if I'm going, let's say this, we go 100 deep, not 100, but I think out of this probably maybe 70, uh, 60 to 70 deep in catchers, right? That's reasonable. That's one position. So this could be, I'm going to say 500 plus players, what I'm guesstimating when done. Oh, he can't see it. I don't know if I can make this bigger. I just go up here to the wins above replacement. And here's the cool thing. I've got it set for all the years that they're showing here for the 86 to 48. But then I get the top 100 overall. But then I can narrow it by position. So I could go to catchers and it's going to show me the top 100. But I can even narrow it down and say, hey, I just want to go 1900 to 1920. And now it'll give me that top 100. So I can really look. Now I'm getting to a list where there's only people that only had 7, plate appearances and stuff. Hank Severide. So a lot of these are going to be Pat Moran, Boss Schmidt. Those are going to be MLB players that played against these and have some stats over here, right? So, but this is a great tool to go position and then narrow the years down to really make sure that I'm even getting people that may not have an above average WAR. There might be somebody that's just dead average or a little bit below, but they played a ton of innings or whatever, or had at bats, and we need to build. Like here's one, Rafael Figueroa. He's got 1,223 plate appearances, and he did a little pitching, but he's just right at that line, like an average player. But if I click on him, yeah, he's played a bunch of seasons. He should be carded. He's not great, like some of the early players are. That average isn't up there, but hey, he's going to be adjusted based on the year he's assigned to. So Anyway, got a picture of Raphael right there. So this is a good way for me to kind of go through here and narrow it down. Same thing with the other positions. Here's first baseman. I can start looking at the early 20s, right? And it'll bring some people onto this list that wouldn't have been there if I had it all the way to 48. But here's one right here, Fred Luderus. Yeah, I'm not building these guys. Huey Jennings, people coming from the Del Howard, people coming from the MLB. But this lets me know that if we look at first baseman between 1900 1920, there's not a lot. I've got a lot of these built. Or do I have Pierce to do? Yeah, I have Pierce built. Julian Castillo, I have not built him yet, but this is a guy who needs to be built. Look, in the early years, this guy's got tons of games and he's well above average. That's a great batting line. I can just tell you from those years, 294. That'll match up well. Julio Castillo Calderon de la Barca. So 6'2", 200-pound, pretty good sized guy. So this has been kind of fun to really drill down and to make sure I'm catching everybody. Now, if we open that first baseman up and go, let's go 19, we're going to have more after this, 1920 to 48. Now you're going to see, if we do it by WAR, right, you're going to see a bunch of players in here to do it. We could also scroll it and by plate appearances, make sure we're getting the people that played a lot. Angel Castro, I have not done him. That's a 40s player that's got a Eggy Dallard. Have not built him yet. These other ones I've done. I think somebody was talking about high pockets. This is Robert Hudspeth High Pockets. 6'4", 200 pounds. That's why his pockets were so high. Lefty batter. 309 hitter. This guy needs to be built. He's going on my list right now. I don't think I wrote him down. Hudspeth. So I got him. So this is kind of a fun way. This helps me kind of prioritize how I build. And then I'll get bored and maybe I'll do some pitchers. Let's take a look at pitchers, by the way. 20 to 48. Actually, let's look earlier. Let's do. I was trying to build some 1920s pitchers out. Let's take a look at who we've got from here. And if we just do it by innings pitch, you can see a lot of these players I've done. Let me find somebody I haven't. I have not built this player right here, Luis Gonzalez. He needs to be built. There's Bill Gatewood, Walter Ball, Tom Johnson, Padron, Sam Crawford. So this is just a good way for me to, I built Dolph Luke, right? Great pitcher over in the major leagues, but also some substantial innings here in the Cuban and Mexican leagues. Let's see, what's Big Clue got for me? Roughly half of MLB history was pre-integration. Yep. If you don't incorporate a timeline adjustment in your all-time rankings on average, that's roughly half the top 100 per position from pre-50. Yeah. So I'm looking. We got Steel Arm Johnny Taylor here. So these are some other ones they're still probably a good, I don't know if we get down into here, like depending on how many years they had. Bill Holland, I have already done though. You can get deep down here, and then we can look at, if I take that all the way from to 1948. Just do it, yeah, do it by innings pitched here. You can see now there's substantial. Now we get up into the some 40s and 50s pitchers here. Daniel Rios. A lot of these I've built. Got Joe Strong, these. So all the ones up pretty much here, I've got in the game. It'll be down in this area I'll get to next, right? The Gizen Tanner, need to build him. Carl Glass, some of these. Barney Morris, who I have on my list. I've built these recently, Lucas Boada and Walter Ball. Um, Poindexter's in there. Bill McCall. There's Louis Tiant Sr. See what he looks like. Not bad. This is also great for one of the tough ratings in the game is trying to put an accurate hold rating. And I have so much data when Seamheads used to be up and running for the MLB because what I loved is this is a perfect way to look at like a career average and look at where they are in the overall percentile. And this is easy. So I can look at that and go, hey, he's a 4.5. So I can feel comfortable giving him a 4 or a 5 hold rating based on his ability to hold runners and steals against and all that. So I always loved when I was doing my old home brews and that. And I'm lucky I got a bunch of that numbers down for pitchers. And what it is, it's not season per season. It's just giving you an overall at their career. How well did they hold runners, you know, in comparison to everybody else? And thank God I still have a bunch of that data on my old projects, which is great to go back and reference. Trying to think if anything else stands out as I'm building stuff here. This is a great one too. Show you what else is cool. Because that's once I know how many games they played, or I'm going to rate them for. Give you an example here. I can come over here and I can take a look at. Let's find somebody here. Chance Cummings. Here's a guy I haven't built. So I can come over. Once I figure out his at bats, all that stuff on the MLEs, then I can go to fielding and I go right here and I say, okay, what positions do I have to count for? So let's say I'm going to use, 21 to 23. I look at this and I go, okay, there's 65 total games at first and 15 at second. 65 plus 15 is 80, right? And then I can take my 65 and divide that by 80, and that's a little over 80%, right? 81%. And then I can come back and say, okay, 81% of his games are at first, 19 are at second. And then I can come over here to my line and say, okay, he played 100 games, so then 81 will be at first, 19 will be at second. So that's kind of how I'm approaching breaking up uh, that. And it's great that they have the fielding data here. When I get into the actual fielding data, let's say I'm using one of these right here, and there's no known putouts and assists for it. So what I'll do is I'll go to one of the years I am using, and maybe another year is a bit that's pretty close, and figure out what my ratios are. Right? Okay, how many putouts? Even if I'm rating here, I can say, look, he's got 100 or 289 putouts every 30 games, right? So if I take that, 289, divide it by 30, now multiply it out by the 78 games he's going to play, that's 751 putouts, blah, blah. And I'll do the same. Same thing on the assists and errors. And then the errors, I actually have to look at my chart and adjust over based on the error rate. I can tell you, let me pull that up. Probably need to go, but now I'm getting all geeked out on baseball stuff, talking formulas and stuff. Boom. So I love this. So take a look at the error. And this is one of the things that you need to account for. Um, they had many more errors in the American League and National League are always within reason. The numbers are going to be different, but they're going to be close. When you get to the Negro Leagues, their error rates didn't normalize till much later. So let's pop this thing on here. So if I go over here and start showing you the known error rates, I've got some anomalies here. So what I'm using is I've got numbers that I plug in for these real early seasons because there's not enough data. These aren't good. But 75 to 79 is the going rate for these early seasons per 1,000 at bats, right? Now, if we look at the NL, let's just take 1908, 69, almost 70% errors, 50 over here and 54, right? And then we go down here to 16. Now we're down we're down a little bit over here. So what have I got? Mid 40s. So it's still 10 points higher there. And again, it might be a couple points off here, but AL and NL are pretty close in the error rate. So this makes me wonder, okay, what style was going on over here? Number one, you had different umps, right? So, and you've got people making the decision on what is an error and a hit, right? So you can definitely see their numbers start higher and come down. There's a little variation right here, but some of these files I'm working with, we don't have all the known data, but I think we're pretty safe to say we're here, but we're always like about 10 points or so higher in the Negro leagues than we are in the major leagues. And it's just style of play, right? So it would be unfair to just look at their raw errors and just bring them over. So a lot of times I'm having to reduce them by a multiplication factor of like, I'm having to take anywhere from 70, depending on the year, to 80, somewhere between 70 and 85% of what they had in their Negro League season, and then adjusting it down to fit a major league style. So that's some fun math that gets crunched there. But anyway, it's about time for me to run. I've got some stuff to go do. Just thought I'd check in and cover stuff and got excited talking about baseball. Some people showed up. I think we scared some off. The numbers got up to about 11 and they're like, oh my God, this stuff. And then now we're down to 5. So we're down to the hardcore people, Midlife and Big Clue and MV and Aaron Reed, the man of 1,000 voices. That's, um, we're getting that to stick. Sports Time Machine was here. Great having him here. He's another Utah kindred person enjoying this cold, windy weather we have. Legend Sports Universe popped in. Definitely check out his stuff he's doing. I think he said earlier he's just down to 2 more franchise teams to get done, and he'll be ready to roll with his project, right, with all-time franchise greats, which I think is just an awesome way that he's doing to get people like integrated in the league and playing and run it league year after year and with some variety. He's pretty cool. So check out his stuff. And yeah, so talking baseball. Yep, that's Aaron Reed, the man of 1,000 voices. I love it. So hopefully you'll be on there tonight. And if Beatles is on, I've got some stuff to do, but I might be able to hop late right before I crash for the night. And we definitely have to keep, yeah, I get guaranteed midlife. It's like eh, sometimes it's probably me getting older. I get more like I start saying things that I remember my grandfather saying. It's like, can't believe some of the absurdity going around this, but this is a great break for me. And it's cool because, you know, I could dig deeper into MLB, but I feel like I've dug a deep. I have a pretty good understanding. This is all brand new to me. Like, look, I'm looking at this guy here, Chance Cummings. I have no clue who he is, and his real name's Napoleon. And there's just so many cool things. The other, if somebody missed the beginning of this, I got to pull in my, got to pull one thing up before I go here and show this off because this is just one of the coolest things. Oh my gosh, what window do I have open? Oh, here it is. Always hides on me. Um, let's take a look at this guy right here. This was the coolest guy I learned about. Where'd he go? He's in my early team. Where am I missing this guy? Let's see. There he is, Jose LeBlanc. Why do I say this? Because this guy died after being struck in the head at home plate over an argument um, that went on at a close play during winter ball. And he died like a day or so later in the hospital from getting struck in the head by this guy. And I think the guy did some time and then came back and played baseball afterwards. I have to go look up the name. I don't remember the other guy that hit him, Cuban player. But it's just cool stuff like that I get to learn. Yeah, midlife's looking at, yeah, the Bacharach Giants. Donaldson? Oh, did MV? I don't know if you did you MV. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch my broadcast from a couple of days ago. My test game where Donaldson, I took Donaldson and went head to head against Satchel Paige. Um, where is Donaldson? Is he a 30s guy? He's a 20s guy, isn't he? Let me see. Too lazy to go just look it up. Well, or we can just do it this way. Let's check this out. John Donaldson. Yes. Well, actually 20s guy, but guess what? The seasons I'm using, I could tell you what those are. Let's take a look. Give you a little behind the scenes look at what seasons I went with for Donaldson. Um, I'm using, yeah, he's using a run right before the 20s. 17, 18, and 19. And that might be because of how it matched up with his MLEs and stuff. But yeah, he's got good hitter too, right? So let's think about this. Donaldson can play outfield. Look, he's got 85 games at center field. So you can pitch him. He's rated for 35 games, 28 you can start here. He's got a good whip. I mean, his specialty is, I think he had his best pitch. Yeah, it says right here, best pitch was his curveball. Great lefty pitcher. Definitely a good guy. My great grandfather pitched semi-pro for 50 games, once shut out the backward just went and hit a solo homer. Now that's pretty badass. That's pretty cool. Nice little fun fact for the day. Yeah, check out the story of Slim Jones. Yes, that's a tragic one. So let me grab my other thing. So a lot of times what I'll do, come over to all my stuff I've got open right here, all my research going on. I can come over here and grab, I think I had it up. Boom, right here. So let's look at Slim. So I go to Slim Jones, and what's cool is you can, right away I'll start getting their nickname, looking at their dad and all that. And I got two sources I go to first: Wikipedia, see what they got to say, and all of a sudden I've got a little bit better picture, so I'll snip that and do my picture stuff. Um, he was a Triple Crown winner in 1934, right? Um, but here's the problem: alcoholic, um, plagued with alcohol. So kind of cut that um, career short. The other nice thing is, and then I'll go look at baseball reference bullpen. Sometimes they have similar stuff, sometimes they have different. They can give me notable achievements if I want to call that out. But I mean, 1934, he was a monster. Um, and so cool tidbits on games and where they stood. So this is my starting point right here. The other thing is I'm always glad if I can get some information on what they were known for, like fastball and good curveball. What I'm finding is my Dyer and James Guide to Pitchers has some of the better known Negro League players, but it doesn't get to the level I'm at now, where I'm kind of going down to the digging deeper. Um, so yeah, always some good fun stories in here to click on and go read and do all that. So 6'6", 185 pounds. So let me see if I've got him on this. There's another guy, interesting. Neck Stanley, left-hander, led the league in strikeouts in 39 and saves in 45. Not close to average, but not a great pitcher. I'm just going to throw that out here, especially with this league. His whip's up there a little bit high, and you can kind of see his ERA plus is nothing great, but Neck Stanley. Um, there's another guy that was recent, Terrace McDuffie. Decent pitcher. This guy was known for mound antics. In fact, I think he's the guy that used to have he'd come in with like a jacket that had like, like he was a showman with his name on the back and showboating it. He was really known for that in the stuff that I read. Um, is he just a yeah, he's just a pitcher, not a two-way player. But anyway, dang, yeah, that would be cool. Midlife crisis to kind of find more information out on all that stuff, right? So anyway, well, I'm gonna call it a day, I guess, and go tend to other stuff I need to do. But it's been fun as usual. So thanks everybody that's been here. Al Red Sox fan hopping in. Hello, hello, hello. Um, just getting ready to wrap up, Al. We've just been chatting some baseball and talking about the Negro League project. They're calling out players and wanting to see them and suggestions and up to 222 players. And it's been a lot of work and there's still a lot more to go. I don't even think I'm halfway done. But if I keep this pace of, I'm hoping I'd like to see what I can have done by opening day of baseball by early April. I really think. But anyway, yeah, take care, Al. Um, we'll see what I can get done. But hey, thanks everybody for stopping by for a little chat and some update. Hey, Arnold's popping in right as I'm closing down shop here and stuff. Nice to see you, Arnold. Did a nice visit here in MV and Big Clue. We're throwing some players out. We researched a lot of players. I built a lot of the ones they were asking for. I've added some other ones to my priority list to build for them here over the next few days. Made quite a bit of traction. I'm up to 222 players. Project's growing, being fun. I did covered a few more MLB greats, so it's a bunch of work going on. My real work and this when I get a chance. So enjoying it. What other update? Oh, and for all of you that are might be tuning into Beatles later, make sure that we crown Aaron Reed the man of 1,000 voices. That's his new moniker. We've got to keep that rolling. We got to keep that rolling for him. The man of 1,000 voices, because he is very entertaining um, listening to, and he's added quite a bit of flavor to the community already on the chats and on Beatles broadcasts. So looking forward to more of that. And everybody's saying hi to Arnold, so I don't want to shut it down a minute. Maybe I'll stick around a minute or two longer here. I'm gonna go grab me re-up my water and let people get the greetings in. And here we go with Zelensky Smurf with the funny Goose Curry, my favorite. Yep, no doubt, man. So got extra people popping in, so I kind of feel bad, but I'm gonna have to pull the plug on this broadcast. We've been chatting for last hour or so, but it's been fun, and I do have to go get some other stuff done. So I'll probably tune in tonight if I get a chance later. If Beatles is going to be doing a broadcast there, um, this has been fun. Definitely check out Legends and his as he wraps up his final expansion teams here. He should be ready to roll with some games. And I think he said earlier he's getting ready to do an exhibition with that all-time Yankees against the A's, which that ought to be a couple loaded teams going after it. So that'll be fun. So want to wish everybody well. Thanks for popping in, everyone. And I might get a chance here Friday, maybe, to do like a daytime, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe noon my time, Mountain Time, doing that, and kind of just do a check in and just chat some baseball. And if anybody's interested, I mean, let me know if it's boring or you want to see some more of that. But I don't mind going through into the weeds sometimes if and discussing some of the stuff we did today with how I'm examining the errors, using the MLE data, examining the neutralized stuff, and how I'm coming up with my whatever you call my good ratings here, right? So this may be it's not as flashy, but I can give you kind of an under the hood peek at some of the number crunching I'm doing with these players and that. So, and this usually gives me a good number. So number 223 right here is Pearl Webster, who will be done hopefully tonight if I get a chance. And then I go right over here to this list that I've got, and many of these players were recommended today by MV and Big Clue and others. So appreciate that. And since I've got to build them eventually, these will be the next ones I do, guaranteed in that order. So hopefully, it'd be nice if I could get all of these players done by Friday. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. Somebody asked me how long it takes me to do a player. I think if I start to finish, and to get them built in and everything, if I just sat down and do it, it's 20 to 30 minutes per player, and that's moving pretty good. Sometimes it can be a little longer if I'm searching for pictures and there's seasons, or if I'm having to crunch the MLEs because they're not already listed on the MLE sheets I have, that then that gets complicated. But anyway, glad talking to everybody, and I will see you down the road, probably Friday at some point. And but I may catch you on Beatles Eternally channel if anybody's going to hop on there later. So thanks everybody for showing up and chatting baseball, and look forward to the next one, hopefully Friday. So take care.